Hi, Edson. Are you at least 18?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What God do you believe in?
Yes, sir. I believe in the Christian God of the Bible.
Okay. What's the best argument or evidence that provides a rational justification to believe that God exists?
So mine is like a free will based argument, but before we begin, can you like define like, or can you tell me your definition of free will?
Um, Typically, I would describe free will as an actual ability to choose between multiple options. Uh, like like having the actual ability to choose between multiple options, not just an illusion of the ability to choose between multiple options.
Okay, that helps because like there's like this like definition that people like also like sort of like agree with, which is like sort of like this idea that free will is the 100% like choice with no outside variable that it, like impacts their decision making. So like I just want to like make it clear, like, do we both agree that that's not what we mean by free will, as in like other variables can still influence your decision making while still like while you still have free will, like.
Yeah, I think it's fine to say that there's a difference between free will and a free choice.
Okay, all right. So like looking at your prompt, it says like there is no rational justification for theism. So I want to kind of like go from like I want to go, take a step back and look at this from a different sort of perspective. I want to talk about like a rule utilitarianist perspective.
Nope. We're not
I'm
doing
sure you're familiar with
utilitarianism.
like util.
We're not doing utilitarianism. We're saying, is it true that a God
So,
exists? That's it. Not, is it good to believe in a God?
oh,
Is it true that a God exists?
okay. Okay, we can go that way too. So could you provide an example of why free will and the ability to make a choice on your own could arise from evolution, or why that would arise from evolution as a process,
Um,
or as from evolutionary process? My God.
that's just an attempt to burden shift. So you're supposed to be providing rational justification for your position, not asking me to provide justification for a position that I haven't even claimed to hold yet.
Okay, well, so I'll do that then, I guess. So like, so in science, we see that there isn't like a clear, direct reason as why like evolution would aim to produce free will in humans, but like there are some like indirect ways as like why it would be an outcome or be like a byproduct of evolution. There's no like direct link. Like we can link like other physical properties and other physical traits of like, obviously like species that have evolved. We can link those directly to like, like night and day like evolutionary processes. Like, okay, that's an effect of that. But like free will, like specifically, that's not something we can directly link to evolutionary processes, which is actually pretty concerning because of the fact that everything else we can see as the direct like effect. And there's like basically essentially what I'm saying is, um if everything is a result, comes from evolution, right? A good explanation as to why there would be free will that did not come about from evolutionary processes is that there was a rational logical being that implemented that by their own will.
So here's going to be my question for you. Let's imagine that we have two people, each dropped into a different forest, right? Um, the first person dropped into, so we'll say person A is dropped into a forest. They have no ability to make free choices. They just have like kind of like mechanistic programming and can only, like a choose your own adventure book kind of thing where they can only accept or like an RPG video game, right? Like especially an older one where you go up to an NPC and they only have like a certain number of, they only have a certain number of dialogue options, and each one you choose there's only a certain number of options off of that, and it doesn't take very long before you've exhausted all of their dialogue options, right? So this person dropped into Forest A is a person like that. That's their like mental capacity, is that kind of like mechanistic, only a few like decision tree options, right? And then in Forest B, we drop another person who has the ability to analyze information as it comes in and to make dynamic new choices based on the information that they're getting, and to change their mind to if they get new information. Okay, so now we've each of these is dropped into a different forest. Person A with the mechanistic, perspective and mental capacity, and then person B with free will, ability to take in new information and learn and choose. Which of the two do you think is going to survive better?
So could I just like clear something up real quick? I think like I don't know, maybe if it's like on my end, like I think it's like a bad comparison to make. But for person A, I think like when you say like I think the way that we define free will in the beginning, that's like you're saying that they have limited options. I don't know if it's maybe like the RPG analogy that you use, but like it's still they're still making a choice, but they do have limited options. But that's like that doesn't affect
No,
that doesn't.
they don't have an ability to choose, just like an NPC doesn't have the ability to choose. The thing that decides which branch of a decision tree or a dialogue tree an NPC goes down is the input from the player. Similarly, we're talking about a person. The reason that I compared it to games like that is because of that aspect of it. I'm talking about a person who, if a specific piece of stimulus comes in, that can and does only trigger one specific response, and that is the response out. The person has no actual ability to choose. All they can do is give the rote response to each specific type of stimulus that they can understand and process, right? So they don't have an ability
So
to
for
choose how
this
they respond.
for the sake of the conversation, we can like can I just like assume like it's like something like a robot, right? Something that
Sure.
one input, one output. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what was your question again? My bad. Just
So if person A is that, robotic type of mental state, right, where that's each input only has one possible response, they don't get to choose between how the, responses for each input, versus person in Forest B who does have the ability to take in new information, adjust to it, learn, and, respond accordingly. Which of those two do you think is going to have a better odds of surviving?
I'd tell you person B because they could analyze the
Yeah,
situation.
exactly. I would agree. And that's you agreeing that evolution would select for free will, for your conception of free will. So you have just defeated your argument. Do you want to give another one?
Well, like that doesn't really so are you saying like free will is a byproduct of evolution? Like because like
You
what I'm
said
saying is like
your claim was that there is no mechanism in science that would explain where free will comes from, and that your explanation or your worldview does provide an explanation. What I'm telling you is that you just agreed that there is a mechanism that science could point to that would explain free will, so that ruins your argument. Your argument is dead. Do you want to give a different one?
no, because when you say oh they have the ability to analyze, right? That's like essentially I think I can equate that. So there's one input, and instead of like person A, they're given one respective output. It's like they have a range of outputs that they do to like given that one input,
I
like
don't know
that
what
one
you're talking about
stimulus.
right now. You're just saying they, and I don't know where you're at in the analogy.
Oh, person B, my bad. Person B. Person
Oh, I lost you.
same stimulus
I lost you
in
there.
multiple different ways. You lost me?
Yep.
So oh, okay.
Yeah, person B has free
Okay.
will, is what I'm saying. Person A does not have free will. They have a robotic, mechanistic ability to respond to stimuli. They don't get to choose their responses. Person B does have free will. They get to choose how they respond to stimuli, and how they act, and engage with their environment. Between
Okay,
those
for
two
the sake of
people,
productivity.
I think it's very
Uh
clear between those two, if those two situations both existed, I think it's extremely obvious that person B would have a much better chance of surviving, because they have the ability to choose how they respond. They have the ability, a much more ability to learn and to grow and to change how they respond to things, so they can, make one mistake one time and not make it again. Whereas the robotic thing is going to, if they make a mistake, they're going to make the exact same mistake every single time, right? So they are never
okay.
going to learn, and they're if they make if there's a problem in their programming or their ability to respond to things, it's that problem is never going to go away, because they don't have the ability to choose to respond differently. So clearly, person B is going to have a better ability to survive. Evolution selects for any trait that improves odds of survival and reproduction So therefore, obviously, there is a mechanism in evolution that would explain why we seem to have the ability to choose between things. So again, your argument from free will has failed. If you have another one,
Okay.
I'm happy to hear it. If you don't, I'm going to move on.
So could I hear your response to the cosmological argument?
You're talking about the Kalam cosmological argument?
Yeah, Kalam cosmological.
Okay. Um, my response to the Kalam cosmological argument is that no one has ever supported either premise. No one ever will support either premise. And even if both premises were true and the conclusion was also true, it still doesn't get you anywhere near God. So I think it's a completely pointless argument. It doesn't do anything to move the needle towards a non-believer believing in God. All the Kalam cosmological argument does is give people who already believe in God a nice comforting blanket to snuggle up under so that they can sleep at night.
Wait, so could you explain to me like what are the I'll be honest, I know about the like the in general the cosmological argument, but the Kalam cosmological argument, I don't know about the premises, the two premises you
Yeah,
mentioned. Could
sure.
you?
So the first premise is going to be everything that begins to exist has a cause. No one can support that. We don't know that that's definitely the case. And in fact, quantum mechanics would tell us that that is not the case. So no one has supported that premise, and I don't think anyone will. The second premise is that the universe began to exist. Again, there's no reason to believe that that's true. We have no evidence, or we don't have compelling evidence to make us think that that's true. In fact, most scientists or professional physicists, cosmologists would tell you that we shouldn't believe that the universe had a beginning. So clearly that premise isn't supported. So again, premise one, everything that
So
begin. Yep.
so for premise two, so when people say like, I mean, not I shouldn't say people. When astrophysicists say that there's like a prediction that the universe has been expanding for about 13.8 billion years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at the Big Bang, I should say. So you don't believe that's like the initiation or like the creation of the, I mean, not the creation, I guess the start of the universe. You don't think that's the start of the universe,
No, and the Big
or
Bang
like
Theory doesn't claim that it's the start of the universe.
so like I guess you could say like you believe in like big bounce like
I don't know.
or
I don't have a belief about whether the universe is infinite. I only know that we don't have reason to believe that it did begin, and we do have some reason to believe that it did not begin. I'm not 100% sure. I don't even have a strong enough opinion on it to claim that I have a belief. All I can tell you is that we don't have enough information to tell us whether or not the universe began. And so to claim in an argument that's trying to prove something that one of the supports for your conclusion is that the universe began to exist when we don't actually have sufficient evidence to draw that conclusion, I think that that's a losing argument.
okay. Could I hear your response to the teleological argument?
I'm not going to respond to every argument. I have other people that want to talk, but I appreciate the
Okay, okay.
conversation, and I
All
hope
right.
that you have a good rest of your
Appreciate you.
day.
Have a good one. Have a good one.